Y'all.
Rich, give me 1 second, bro. Give me literally 1 second. I'm opening up a Zoom call and let me just open this thing and then I'll wrap with you. What up, y'all? So happy Saturday. Welcome to the book club. Y'all know the vibes. We do this thing every Saturday, and I appreciate the six of us hopping on time and vibing this morning. Honestly. I have a feeling, I'm saying, we'll get the stragglers popping in, but truth be told, shit might even go quick today, but either way, man, we got time, and that's one of the coolest things that I love about book club is sometimes it's intimate and we can really just dive in to like all our questions, thoughts about the book and the reading from this past week. So I am extremely excited. Let me just run back these chapters real quick because honestly, this book has just been wild for all of us. Just watching us all go through it has been something serious, man. This is the part that honestly fills my soul with what we do. Like literally just getting to grow together. But chapter 16, impotence. Chapter 17, all things are possible. Chapter 18, be ye doers. Chapter 19, essentials. And then chapter 20 is righteousness. So let's get it cracking, y'all. I'm excited for the talk today because I feel like we're gonna go crazy. And since Amber was the first one on this morning, and we're gonna kick us off today. What's popping, girl?
All right. So I need to take a breath. I just got a really long message that's not gonna be fun to read after this. So I need to change my statement. Woo! Okay, so chapter 16. We're doing chapter 16 through 20. Chapter 16, personal impotence. So I looked at the definition of impotence and it means to be powerless. So basically what I got over the chapter 16 is that like we're powerless to the law of assumptions. So that means that we're either like it states in there, we're either going to yield to it or conform to it. And so that reminded me of one of my audios that I was listening to over spiritual law, and something that Napoleon Hill had said was either you abide by, like either you use spiritual law or you get abused by spiritual law. So either you abide by it or it just completely like it's something that you can't do anything about, just like the law of gravity. Like you can choose not to abide by the law of gravity, but if you jump off a cliff or like you're gonna fall, like no matter what, so either you're either going to abide by the law, you're going to conform to the law, or you're going to it's the law is always in place no matter what. So we are always being consumed by our of the law of assumption. So impotent means powerless. So we are powerless when it comes to law of assumption. So again, it reminded me of that. You can either yield to it. So basically, you don't have a choice but to surrender to it or use it consciously. And so I really like that it pointed that out, because I feel like sometimes within our experience, within our journey, there are times when we get frustrated by the journey, right? We get frustrated by the things that we have to do, that we must do to be able to, create the life that we want, right? And a lot of the times, like when it comes to creating, one of the things that I talk about, like in my business of Powerful Creator, is how being a powerful creator is about taking supreme responsibility for yourself, right? And so using the law of assumption, it forces us to take supreme responsibility for ourselves at all times, because we are experiencing ourselves, right? We can't get away from that. And so what this chapter reminded me of is like, it's something that I have to tell myself, or like I've told myself when I've gotten like really, really low, or times got really hard, which is, girl, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You need to figure it out. You either figure out a way to get yourself in a high vibration, or you're either going to die. You're either going to grow or you're going to die. And so that chapter reminded me of that. It's like either I'm going to yield to it or conform to it. Like I don't have a choice. Like I have to learn how to yield to the law of assumption, yield to my power, is what I really got from that chapter. Chapter 17, all things are possible. So there's like so many things I wanted to read and like write down. But let me just read what I wrote. Live your life in a sublime spirit of confidence and determination. Disregard appearances, conditions, in fact, all evidence of your senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. Rest in the assumption that you are already what you want to be. For in that determined assumption, you and your infinite being are merged in creative unity with your infinite being, God. All things are possible. And the second thing that I highlighted was the clue to the real purpose of life is to surrender yourself to your ideal, such as with such awareness of its reality that you begin to live the life of the ideal and no longer your own life as it was prior to the surrender. So all things are possible when we completely surrender to the law of assumption. We can't get away from it. Just like, like it said in later in the chapter, it said, just like we can't avoid eating or drinking, like it's a part of life, it's something that we have to do. We must use the law of assumption, like surrendering to it is something that we have to do. And so in every moment we are creating what we are assuming, we are experiencing what we are assuming. So surrendering to the law, taking responsibility for our mind, is the key to a happier life. And that's what it says as at the end. Thus it is clearly seen that the control of your assumption is the key you now hold to an ever expanding, happier, and noble life. And then chapter 18, be the doers. And so obviously, this one is kind of like straightforward, like, be a doer. But I was like, whenever I was reading, I was breaking it down because what I've learned too is like the goal, and it talks about it at the end here, the goal is to be, right? And so when I broke down, like, what does it mean by being a doer? It means by just consistently being in that state of assuming whatever it is that you desire consistently over and over and over again. And so it's not enough just to hear. That's what it talks about. It's not enough just to know these laws. It's not enough just to hear it over and over again and know that we're powerful and know that we have the law of assumption on our side and know all of these things. We must do it. We must act as if continuously. And whenever we do that on a consistent basis, then we are doers. And it says to surround yourself by a doer. So to continue in the perfect law of liberty is to persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. You are not a forgetful hearer. When you keep the feeling of your wish fulfilled constantly alive in your consciousness. So basically, just not being like wishy-washy about what it is that you want, and like this reminds me of something that like I practice, like when it comes to like something that I really desire, I'm creating or manifesting for myself, I'm very, very intentional about who I'm talking about it with. Like for example, yesterday I had made a joke to a friend and I had said something. He had just called me and we were like chatting for a bit. And I had made a joke about, I was like, I had made a post and I had told him like to go like my post, and he had like made a joke about that. And I was like, come on. I was like, I'm trying to make it out of Riverside out here. I was like, just make it like, just like my post, like it's free. And then he's like, make it out of Riverside. He's like, you are not going to make it out of Riverside. And immediately, like, I didn't take that personally at all, because this person is never getting out of Riverside, according to his mind. Cause he said that he literally was like, I'm not getting out of Riverside. Like, I'll be here. And I just started laughing because I was like, I'm getting out of Riverside. I was like, I can get out of Riverside right now. Like, and then I just started laughing and then I just hung up, or I just like ended the conversation. But the thing about that is I know better. I know that that person's on a lower vibration. I know that that person doesn't believe in themselves the way that I do about myself. And so it's my responsibility not to talk about the things that I'm creating, things that I'm desiring with people who are on a lower vibration, who are going to give me any sense of that doubt whatsoever, and yeah. And so that reminded me of it because it just makes it like more difficult. Like now I have, I've been practicing my desires for a long time. I've been practicing, practicing these laws for a while. And so I have a lot of confidence in creating. And so whenever I was younger, I didn't have that much confidence. So it was very, very it was something that I really had to focus on making sure that I wasn't around people who were going to give me any doubt towards something. And if I know I still have a little bit of doubt towards something, like I won't talk about it at all. Like it'll just be written on a piece of paper until I continuously build that belief to where, I'm aligned with other people who I could talk about it with, and they're going to meet me on that level of that belief, So like you never want to talk about something to somebody who doesn't have the same belief as you about it, who's going to give you the doubt. And so that just reminded me of like, be among the doers, like be around the people who are going to continue to add fuel to that assumption, who are going to assume the same things. Like another exercise that I thought about that I want to share is, my mentor would call them like dream conversations, I think, like manifestations conversations. But basically, like we would have this exercise where we would talk to each other as if like the conversation was real, like as if we were already there. So like, for example, if I would like role play with Imani, I would like talk to Imani and the conversation would be as if it was already done. So I would like come out, I'd be like, hey, Imani, so like, what are you doing today? And she'd be like, oh, nothing. And I'd be like, oh, okay. I was like, well, today I was like, my gardener's gonna come and he's gonna take care of, you know, everything outside. And then later I'm gonna go to Pilates. And like, you just have this entire conversation of the life that you want to live as if it's already happening. And when you can have that kind of conversation with somebody else and they play into it too, and y'all are both on that level of, yeah, like, you know, later we're going to go to lunch and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Like that continues to add fuel to your assumption, right? Because it brings up that principle, like your body doesn't know the difference between what's fake and what's real, you know? So if I'm having that conversation with Imani and we're like, yeah, you know, I made $1,500 today by just doing whatever, and that's normal, right? And we have that vibration of like, that's normal. And then another person has that with you, it just strengthens that whole thing. And so that's what reminded me of like, be among the doers. It's like, be around people who you can have those conversations with, you know, like I can have that kind of conversation with Imani because she is in alignment and she studies this stuff and she is a person who is a doer too, you know. But if I were to try to have that kind of conversation with my other friend, he would look at me like I was crazy, you know. And so yeah, so that's what I got from that one. And I do not have much to say over chapters 20 and 19 because my notes got deleted and I don't want to just make up something, to be honest. So that's all I gotta say about those chapters, and y'all can cover the rest and I'll take notes on this. Okay, so who do I want to pick next? Imani, because she's looking at Oh, Don raised his hand too. Go for it, Don.
Can I go? What's up, y'all? 5 minutes popping.
Ladies first, Don.
No, it's good. It looked like Don is golfing. He trying to get his golf game going. Let him go. Let the man go.
I am. Appreciate it. Yeah, y'all. Worked a 12-hour overnight shift and out here on the course. Call me crazy. And I work tonight and tomorrow night. So wish me luck. Power of the Holy Spirit. In a synopsis of the book and these chapters over the past week, I really just reminded me of like letting go of who we are and relating more so and looking at it in my spiritual journey as well, where I just am working on giving up the fleshly desires and of what's of the world, and really diving into the spirit and what the word says, and having that faith, which in the book is talking about the assumption. So in that, just having that faith and believing in the unseen until it comes to fruition and seen, and allowing ourselves just to truly give in to what it is that we can't control and stop trying to control everything and all the outcomes. So very powerful. I was like, whoa. But again, like I said, that's just a kind of summary and what I got from it throughout those few chapters. But yeah, y'all, I appreciate you, Imani, for letting me go. Go ahead, go.
Good morning, y'all. Happy Saturday. Whoop, whoop. Don with the this boy out here golfing his life. He ain't playing no games. I'm trying to get all the deals on the court. Or what is it? The course? The course. Okay, so I have a lot of notes, but the ones I really wanted to cover, I'm just going to go through it. Okay, so chapter 17, the clue to the real purpose of life is to surrender yourself to the ideal with such awareness of its reality that you begin to live the life of the ideal. So that surrendering is no joke, and it's like this constant death and rebirth, which really means that death isn't finite. It's something that happens infinitely throughout our lives and throughout lives after, over and over again, because we are like striving to reach these new levels of awareness. So with this book this week, I did not want to read this book because I was not in the mood, because I knew it was going to blow my mind, you know? So I took it chill and I read it this morning, and I'm glad I did, because sometimes when you think of these things, it's like, that's crazy. Like being reborn over and over again with this new level of awareness. Um, it's a lot to take in. So it's a lot. But assuming that the wish is fulfilled is like will lead you to this noble life. That's what he said. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because, you know, through this work and this understanding of the power of awareness, I have noticed like my mind is in a whole different place. Like I died, I came back. Like I'm a whole different person, because this understanding of like what life is just like, okay, let me be in this always assuming state that all my wishes have been fulfilled. Like how Amber said, like we'll have those conversations, and it's just like, yeah, we know it's not incarnated. It's not incarnated yet. However, it's already done. So it's like, oh my God, what did that guy say yesterday on the call, where he said, reverse engineering. So it's already done. You're just moving backwards. And that is powerful in itself. The other side is being, for chapter 18, is taking that action. So taking that action is so important, because you like assuming that your wish is already fulfilled takes a level of confidence and courage to truly be like, okay, my property is already built, my resort is built, I'm having all the events at my establishment because I made it happen. So in my head, I know that's done. I'm just waiting for it to come physically. um and having that faith is really important too, because you have to believe in something that you cannot see, or else it's just like, if I like jump to chapter 20, it's that righteousness versus like sin. I don't know if that's what I'm trying to say, but you know, the minute you are living in this awareness of like your wish is already fulfilled, life is much more pleasurable, because you're like not really worrying about the things that you why would you worry about things that you already have? Nobody worries about things that they already have. They're on to the next thing, which is the whole conundrum of life. And this life is just, we're always, you know, striving for better, striving for more. So if I am always feeling like I have everything I need and I'm happy, then I will live a more pleasurable life instead of worrying about the things I don't have. So that's really important to me. And chapter 20 was the one for me, because, you know, when I get on here and I talk about religion in I guess an objective way or a subjective way, I still have to lock that down, y'all. Marketing don't let, no, for real. I'm gonna get it though. I'm
Hey,
gonna get it.
look, so subjective is more of like an opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel some type of way. Objective is like truth. Like you can see it and it's proven. So like I think in terms of like if you're feeling sick, objectively, you're
I'm sick.
throwing up.
Right.
Subjectively, you feel weak and lethargic,
Okay.
if that helps.
It does. And then
Good.
I'm gonna still I'm gonna still I need some time.
I know you're good. You're good. I was just trying to help you with your thought process.
Thank you for real, because I still like I needed that. But so for y'all don't know like me that much, but y'all are getting to know me. But as a child, so my mom has taken me through a whirlwind of different religions. I've been Jehovah's Witness, I'm baptized Catholic, I've been to every kind of Black church you could possibly think of. I've been to mega churches. My mom was in the Nation of Islam, so she was Muslim for a little bit, and I was on that journey with her through everything. So my view on religion is much different than most people's, because I've been exposed to so many different avenues of faith. So chapter 20 was wild, because the righteousness versus sin, people who are feeling so down and out about living in sin, this book is really showing like it's not the power, like forget the sin. In my eyes, forget the sin, because the sin is not what's going to save you, it's the righteousness. So how he said that a man living in poverty will go seek religion in hopes that this will change their lives, but they realize that this is not the end all be all. This is not the answer, because if you're not living righteously and taking that action and using all the things that you've learned with this assumption that everything you want is already completed, there is no purpose in you sitting up there saying, oh, I go to church every Sunday, oh, I do this, I do that in church. It's like he said, it's a fallacy. It's this false sense of control that you, like, a lot of people tend to have when they're caught up in religion. So like when I see religion, I see it, I respect everybody's choices 1,000%. Obviously I've been in so many different ones myself and I'm still actually not searching, but researching in different ways of faith and believing. But the most important thing is that righteousness. That's what will save a person. Like living the life assumed and being my mom. I love my mom very much. And throughout all of those religions, she's gone. I've seen her in amazing places, and I've seen her in really dark places as well. And she has been in a religion consistently the entire time. Has her life changed? Not very much. Not very much at all. I could even say, I'm not going to put that on my mom, but there is things that if she was in the righteousness and thinking like everything she wants is already done, instead of hoping that this outside source can help her, it's like, learn the religion, learn the faith, be in it, and use that to get you to where you need to go. So that's like, but that's something that is really important to me for like to teach people as well. It's like, hey, you have to live this, you have to be aware, or else what is it all for? Okay, with that being said, I'm gonna call on Kelsey. Hop on here, girl. Kelsey. Or whoever want to go, just just hop on the thing. Okay. Alyssa, you want to hop in? You want to just chime in real quick, girl?
I mean, I'll dip my toe in, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I have not read. Oh shit! Sorry, I just sped past the state trooper. I have not read past chapter 14. I think is where I left off. I've also been on my deathbed all week, so I was like in no way, shape, or form doing anything but sleeping. But I do agree with a lot of like what y'all said, and just based on what y'all have touched on. I know I'm gonna love these chapters, and I know Imani, Amber, and I have had, you know, a few intimate conversations about control and like releasing that. And I know on previous calls, I want to say it was Austin that like really like me and him were on the same page about like kind of always being like a perfectionist and like being our own worst critic and being hard on ourselves. And like it has taken me a long time to let go, and I'm still learning to like let go of control in certain things. And I noticed that I do it in like microaggressive ways, you know, like just little ways sometimes. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, like I could really like let go of control on that. I wanted it to be the way I want it, just because I think that if, you know, if I do it that way, I'm more likely to get X outcome, or it's more likely to, you know, to do something as if I know how it's going to turn out, you know, and I truly don't. I want to think that I do. I want to think that, you know, if I do all of these things and dot every I and cross every T, that this is what it's going to give me. And in some ways you can make those inferences, right? Like, you know, I know that if I work out every day and I eat good for 6 months, that my body is going to change from now to then. Like I could assume that, you know, safely, but there's other things that kind of just have different outliers, different variables, different constants, even that we really just don't have any kind of control over. And I think the harder that we try and like tighten our grip on stuff like that in a weird way, like the more things like that fall through our fingers, I feel like, because we're grasping at all these, you know what I mean? Like we're grasping at all these things that we want to be a certain way. We want to be perfect. And we're so focused on that outcome. We're so focused on what that is like, quote unquote, supposed to look like. Like, I know we've also had those conversations about like healing. And I feel like, you know, sometimes you think healing and people think like, oh, it's going to be this, you know, come to Jesus moment and I'm going to be so like healed and happy. And like, we all know that healing is fucking ugly, you know, like healing is fucking ugly, bro. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It can absolutely be ugly. It makes you face like some of the, at least for me, like I look at some of like the quote unquote like ugliest parts of myself. Like that's when I see that shit that I'm like, damn, bro, like getting to that point where I'm like, okay, like these are things that I need to heal from. Like becoming aware of like my feelings, places where I still need growth, places where I still need to, you know, plant seeds and make changes. So it is, I think it is, you know, it is really important to become aware of that, become aware of like how you know, I guess like, I don't want to say expectations, but yeah, like for me, it had to do a lot with expectations. Like I read a quote once and I think it went something like, expectations are the root of all heartache. Because you expect something to happen, you want it so badly to happen, and then when it doesn't, you're like, what the fuck? You know, like for lack of a better word, like you're like, what the fuck? Like I did everything right. I did all the things. I prayed, like how am I, you know, people say I pray, I go to church, I this, I that, and I still haven't like X, Y, and Z. I still haven't gotten this. I still haven't done this. I still don't feel this way. I still feel hopeless. I still feel lost. Like, so just like kind of learning that healing, you know, was something that I had to kind of like let control, like let go of control on also. Like I kept expecting healing to be a certain way, and then I realized like, you know what, no bro, like I just have to let it be the way it is. I just have to let it be the way it is. I have to let myself kind of ride that roller coaster of healing, because you know I had that misconception that it was all uphill, and it's not, you know. So I feel like I'm definitely gonna love those chapters once I get to them. Oh, okay. I was like, no way. I thought I was muted this whole time. I was like, have y'all just I was like, no way. But yeah, I mean, I am definitely looking forward to reading them. I'm on my way to some like hair show right now. I actually brought the book with me, so I will be absolutely catching up on all of those. But yeah, I am like a couple chapters behind you guys, so I will absolutely make sure that I have them done by the next time we touch base and stuff. And that's all I got. So
Hey, you can pop going on somebody, girl.
is Kelsey alive? Is she here? Okay.
We're
I'm
live,
calling on
bro. We're
Kelsey.
live. Sorry.
I'm calling on Miss Kelsey.
I told Austin. Austin's like, Amani called on you. I was like, bro, I know. I heard him on the phone, and my heart just freaking dropped. I was like, oh no. All right. Hang on a second. Solid 10 pages. That's all I gotta say. This was dead ass like 12 pages. I highlighted pretty much the whole chapter 16. The personal impotence. Really, I mean, Marcus kind of said it. We had a call with him last night. Is killing your old self, because a lot of times we sit here and say, like, if we do the things, if we like, we can force our goals to happen. And I've done that. I've if I just do this, then I'll get this, but it doesn't work like that ever, and in the manner when you use the faculty of assumption, you are conforming to a law just as real as the law governing magnetism. So you pretty much have to just become what it is that you're seeking. And then, it pretty much becomes like a magnet where it just comes to you. You don't know how. Like I've had many times where I wake up one day, I'm like, bro, how did that happen? But it's because, subconsciously you raise yourself to that vibration. And obviously within that, it just comes to you. And so I also highlighted the last paragraph. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but chapter 17, all things are possible. A big thing that I highlighted in this chapter, kind of tying into the previous, the clue to the real purpose of life is to surrender yourself to your ideal with such awareness that it's a reality, that you begin to live the life of the ideal, no longer your own life as it was prior to this surrender. And that's pretty much how I view that, is like walking. Obviously, I know a couple other people have said it already, but walking as if, like, am I driving the car that I want to drive? No, but vividly visualizing, when I am getting into my car, like, no, this is, and feeling that. And also, I don't remember who told me, I've gone to like car dealerships and just sat in them as well, like surrounding yourself with that, not necessarily just the mental feeling and the spiritual feeling, the emotional feeling of being, doing, having the things that you want, but you can physically go do some of those things as well. And also ignore the present state and assume the wish fulfilled, claim it, and it will respond. It's really a muscle though. It's something that you have to do on a consistent basis, is seeing, knowing, and feeling yourself in that future state that you know that you will be in. And just knowing that, like, you do also have to surrender yourself to your previous physical circumstances, like you have to surrender and be like, this is my, normal day to day, but how I view myself, how I view my world is completely different than what I'm physically going through at this time. And then 18, be yay doers. Obviously, walk the walk, don't always talk the talk. Marcus kind of re-solidified that in my consciousness last night on our call of like, yeah, we go out here and we do the things, or we say we're going to do the things, you know, I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done this week. But are you really? And that also for me comes down to like self accountability too, is, you know, I don't live with someone who's doing this alongside me. Like Austin's the closest to me. He's still an hour and a half away. So it's really, I could tell Austin like, hey, I'm going to go do this burpee challenge for a freaking hour. And then tell him, hey, I did 500, knowing damn well I sat my ass on the couch, you know, like, but really being the doers instead of just, you know, saying what you, it starts there, saying what you want and manifesting that, writing it down, speaking it aloud to yourself in the present tense, like you've already done it, but then actually go out in there and doing it. Because where did I highlight that? Yeah, the talent not used, like the limb not exercised, withers and finally atrophies. What you aren't physically putting into action and being a doer within, you're eventually just going to lose. And then a couple things on 19, the essentials. What I really took out was the second essential point was cultivate physical immobility. And I had to reread that a couple times because I'm like, what the heck is this talking about? But it's essentially talking about, you know, I looked at it as like meditating, like quieting your physical body. Yeah, like we're all out here moving and grooving, doing a million things every single day. But one of the essentials is taking that time to essentially, like it says, immobilize that part to then be able to open up the mental clarity that can also push you forward in life. The value, and then, yeah, the value of physical immobility shows itself in the accumulation of mental force, which absolute stillness brings with it, which is hard, dude. Like it's tough, but, and then, yeah, that was the point on 19. And then 20 real quick is righteousness. I really liked how they kind of tied it in with a lot of biblical scripture, because, you know, we growing up, if you grew up in any sort of faith, you do hear righteousness and sin thrown together quite a bit. And so for the longest time when I was growing up, I thought of being righteous as something bad, like having a big ego and things of that nature. But when it was kind of broken down in this chapter, you know, the righteousness is essentially just having the consciousness of already being what you want to be. And yeah, I also highlighted sin means to miss the mark, but righteousness is the consciousness of already being what you want to be, and only by righteousness can you be saved from sinning. I did highlight it. And then the last sentence there, righteousness is not the thing itself, it's the consciousness, the feeling of already being the person you want to be and of already having the things that you desire. So obviously not sitting here and focusing all of your mental capacity on the physical house that you want or the physical amount of money that you want to create, but it's knowing and consciously becoming, walking as if you are the person that it takes to obtain those things. So I know we still got a couple more people to go, so, and a call at 12. That's cool. Who else hasn't gone? Donnie? No, Donnie went. Austin? Yeah. I don't know if Josh is even, he ain't even connected to the audio. Man.
What's going on, everybody? Appreciate everybody who's gone so far, dropping some sauce. But so chapter 16, just really acknowledging that, like, I don't know, the first quotation that he put there, it said, I can of mine own self do nothing. So knowing that you can't do, I mean, you can do a lot of things alone, but like really, I mean, for me personally, that just means me leaning on God and trusting everything that He has for me, and surrendering my own wants, my own desires to Him, so that He can help me go out there and really get what it is that I desire. And just acknowledging that you do have your own faults. You know what I mean? We all struggle in certain areas, and we can't. I guess we can't grow and get better just from our own understanding. We got to read the books. We have to, seek out the information that's really going to help us. So just understanding that you don't have all the answers. And the other thing I highlighted here says you can only yield or conform since all of your experiences are the result of your assumptions, consciously and unconsciously. The result of consciously using the power of assumption surely must be obvious. So not only acknowledging that, you can't do anything on your own. I mean, like I said, you can, but like as far as really getting the results that you desire, for me, I know I can't do anything without God. Then I could do things without Him, but they probably won't turn out exactly how I want them to be. And you can't really change. I'm not sure how I want to say this, but you can't really change anything as far as like world goes. Like you can only like change yourself. So you can only focus on what you want in your life and what you truly desire, and allow that to attract to you, by what you think, what you say, what you do, and just really utilizing the power of assumption. Because obviously throughout the book you can tell that the theme of it is the power of the assumption is the most, I don't know, prominent, the most prominent, call it, most prominent power that we have, and we can, as far as like the imagination and stuff like that goes as well. So just really assuming the life that you want, but also as we get into these next couple of chapters, 17 and 18, believing that it is already done, and trusting in yourself, as well as, if you believe in God, trusting in God and really leaning on Him with everything, whether you struggle, whether you're doing well, what have you, but really believing, as far as chapter 17 goes, really believing that all things are possible, because they really are. When I was growing up, I wanted to go to the NBA, and I'm not very tall. So, I just loved basketball, but like for me and like my family, it was never really instilled in me that was a possibility. So I didn't really like, they encouraged me to go practice and get better because that's what I love to do. But that was more so as a hobby, and to give me something to do as far as like after school or like outside of school activities go, because I love playing sports. But it was never really instilled in me that I could actually go to the NBA. There are people my height that are in the NBA that can ball. You know what I'm saying? And so like, if I had that belief that and knew that I could really do anything in life, probably would have chosen a different path. But like, obviously everything happens for a reason, but I'm glad that I am where I am now, and I'm super grateful for that, because now I know like what literally everything is possible, because I've literally gone through, like, after reflecting, I've gone through a lot of storms in my life, and things that I never thought I would get through, things that I never thought I would experience even, but being able to get through them with and come out with a better mindset, and then now being able to learn skill sets and do life and business with people that I never thought that I would meet, or like the community of people that we have. Like I never I don't know, for a majority of my life, I never thought that I never knew that there were communities of people out there, because the world is a lot of negativity. So, just knowing that you can literally do anything and everything through God and through your own belief, and assuming that everything is already done. You just have to act as if, like everybody, pretty sure almost everybody who's gone so far has said. And we hear it a lot, in the space that we're in as far as business and things like that go. But honestly, that's really the power of assumption is really a powerful thing, because as long as you believe that everything is possible, and you do your due diligence and like truly believe, because I know a lot of people say that, well, I do believe in God, or I do believe in this or that, but in their heart they don't really like trust, you know what I'm saying? So they don't really surrender, like it said in the last chapter, to that belief. Because if you truly believed in it, you wouldn't be scared, you wouldn't be anxious, there wouldn't be any worry about it, you know what I'm saying? So like you would just move and do everything as if it's already done. So like that's why I love chapter 18 too, because it said, be ye doers and do it. Like you can wish everything all you want to, and you can be like, oh, I like this is going to happen for me, that's going to happen for me. And you can want it all you want to, but like unless you're actually moving your feet, doing the things that need to be done in accordance to what you want, it's never going to happen. Because I know a lot of people sit there on their couches in their beds at night, and they're like, man, I can't wait for this to happen or that to happen. Can't wait to like get all this money and travel here and there and whatever, but they don't do anything to actually go ahead and move forward and progress and take steps to get themselves there. So you can't get to where you want in life by just wishing and hoping that it's going to happen. Like, yes, you have to have faith, but faith needs to be backed by work. So you need to, if you really want what you say you want, you have to move your feet. I like this quote, or this sentence that he said in here too. He said, the real truth seeker will welcome this aid in concentrating his attention upon the law, which sets him free. I just think it's really, I don't know, it's really cool. Like I never thought, obviously we all, I think I've said it before on book club too, like the law of assumption. I always thought assumptions were bad, because of what we've all been told. What does assuming get you? You make a ASS out of you and me, but mostly you, type thing. So, but now like, well, in a different light, different perspective. That's why perspective is so amazing. Like assuming that you already have the life and the things that you desire is powerful. And if you can live by that, and you can take your mind there on a daily basis, and do the things that are going to get you there, like there's nothing that's going to stop you from winning. There's nothing that's going to stop you from getting to exactly what it is that you want in your life. So, and then skipped. And then on to chapter 19 on the essentials. And I know from the business space that we are in, we've all heard a lot of these. Well, at least the first one for sure. And I think the third one, probably heard these a lot. The burning desire. And I've seen them in almost every book that we read in book club. It all starts with a burning desire, and you have to have that in order to go and really achieve anything. Because unless you want it and like really want it, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this story. I first heard it from Eric Thomas, where he tells a story about the guy who wanted to be successful. And he takes the guy goes to a guru. He said, how bad do you want to be successful? He tells him to come to the beach at 4 a.m. Gets to the beach at 4 a.m. He's questioning everything. He's like, man, I want to make money. I'm not trying to swim, whatever. But he takes him out into the water, and it gets about waist deep, he says, and he's like, okay. He's like, I'm about to go in because this guy's nuts. But he's like, how bad you want it? He said, real bad. So he walks him out a little further, dunks the man in the water, holds him under until he almost passes out. And he brings him back up, He said, now I got to ask you a question. He said, what do you want to do when you were underwater? I said, I wanted to breathe. He said, you won't be successful until he said, you won't be successful until you want success as bad as you just wanted to breathe. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's wild, you know. That's where the burning desire kind of comes in, is like you got to want it and want it bad. And you got to do the things every single day that are going to get you there. And then how I know Kels touched on it, the physical immobility, and I need to myself get better at this, because I feel like I'm always going. You know, I'm always go go go, but I don't take that time every day to be still. And honestly, that's where a lot of the growth can come into your life, and will, because if you just take the time to sit there, and whether, like I said, you believe in God or not, but either pray or just sit there and really meditate on everything that's going on in your life, there will be a lot of clarity that comes to you. Because when I have done this, when I have just sat there and taken the time to just let go of the physical world and just be present, with myself, you do gain a lot of clarity. And I have like came out of it feeling a lot better than I did going into it. Because like most of the time when I've done it, I've felt anxious, or kind of my mind was all over the place type thing. And then just sitting there and slowing down, to really grasp everything that was going on and then get the clarity that I needed to move forward, has helped me progress in a lot of ways. So like that meditation and that time with God and with yourself, is necessary. I mean, it doesn't have to be like an hour long. It can be 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you need. But just take that time to really sit there with yourself. Because you may feel like you're wasting time, because may feel like you could be doing something else, which is how I thought a lot of the time. But like, honestly, that's really, because you might not feel you're being productive, but that is being productive, because you're pouring back into yourself and you're allowing yourself to grow through that process. So, and then the third thing you said, the assumption of the wish already fulfilled. And I, like I've talked about it before, you just got to know. You got to know it within your heart and believe it truly that it's already happening. So, and that you already are the person that you want to become. And then the last, in chapter 20, righteousness. Righteousness definitely talked a lot about in the Bible. He definitely references it quite a bit, or they reference it quite a bit in the Bible. And I was kind of like Kelsey. Like, I thought growing up, like righteousness, self-righteousness, obviously there's a difference, was a bad thing. I was like, nobody wants to be that guy, like super prideful, whatever. But righteousness is really, let's see here. It says that righteousness is not the thing itself. It is the consciousness, the feeling of already being the person who you want to be, of knowing, or of already having the desire, the thing you desire. So it's really just knowing who you are and who you want to be, and then trusting the process, of getting there. It's not really, righteousness isn't a thing. You can't see it, but you will see the fruits from what you do in order to be and act righteous, you know? So, and that's ultimately like, there's two sides of the coin. And he talks about it in this chapter. It's really two sides. You know, we're sinners, and a lot of people just stay in that state. They just, you know, keep sinning, and you know, from a spiritual standpoint, you know, that's not going to ultimately bring you to where you want to be. But you know, like I think Kelsey touched on it, sin means to miss the mark, which I never really thought about it like that. But honestly, that's an interesting perspective, because as far as like business and things like that, and just personal growth, I never really thought about like not doing the things that you said you were going to do is sort of a sin, because you didn't keep your word to yourself, and you kind of you kind of, the word I'm looking for, but like regressed a little bit, and you kind of just fell back and you didn't do what you said you were going to do. So like, I just look at it, you know, from, and I like to reference, you know, God in the Bible and stuff like that, because like sinning is like doing the opposite of what God wants you to do. So like if you sin in like your business or whatever, you're not doing or doing the opposite of what you said you were going to do for yourself. So I guess that was a different way to look at it for me. So and then righteousness, like I said, and only by righteousness can you be saved from sin. So yeah, just really righteousness is essentially the law of assumption. It's just assuming that you're already that person if you want to be, or that you want to be, and then, you know, doing what it said in the previous chapters, just being the doer and doing the things that are going to get you there. So sorry, I just talked for a while, but whoever else whoever else wants to go, I really love this book, honestly, and they're really short chapters. So if there's anybody not on this call and you're catching the recording, you are missing out, my friends. I think Josh and T, Mikhail, I don't think Mikhail's gone yet. Or Marcus. Oh, Marcus ain't gone. Oh man,
Marcus ain't
we got
gone
some
either.
sauce. I know we got some sauce coming up. So.
Right. Hey, look, Josh has been looking at all of our beautiful faces because this audio ain't been on the whole call. So we love you, Josh, if you catch the recording. But I want to definitely, real quick before I go into my notes, y'all, I want to piggyback off something that Austin actually just said, because Austin, you definitely got bars, but I love this book too, man, for real. It's different. You touched on a story that E.T.'s touched on, Les Brown's touched on, and so many people before them. It just trickled on down generation by generation by generation. When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you'll be successful. And it's so real, but like, I want to give everybody something that I got while reading this book. And I feel like it's exactly what the book has been reiterating to us the entire time in multiple different ways. And like, I've noticed this, that sometimes when I have like even value sessions and I watch them not all the way hit home, my man finally turned on his audio. Welcome to the call, Josh. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. But when I say things over and over again in different ways, I watch it kind of like not hit home for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I watch as people go from like understanding to not all the way understanding to tuning out to tuning back in. Like as a speaker, you feel the energy. Remember, we just read Don't Drop the Mic. Okay. But with this though, I just really want to dive into something and just be real quick. You got to want it as bad as you want to breathe, because just like breathing, it is something that you know that you were meant to do. Why did you want to breathe underwater? Because you breathe with no thought at all whatsoever, with the least effort, all day, every single day. I'm asthmatic. When I have an asthma attack, the only thing I want to do is just be how I want, like my normal, no wheezing. That's all I want is my normal. Is success your normal? That's what he meant by that. And I just really quick wanted to break that down on another level, because it's not so much that you have to want it so bad. It's that, yes, you have to want it so bad because you know that you were meant for it. Like what you are is not what you are, period. Just like Imani said, you had to die to your old self. Like literally, that life is mine. This one that I'm living right now, these current circumstances, that's the freaking dream, the nightmare happening right now, whatever you want to call it, whatever's going on. But ultimately, what I am is the successful one, period. Just like I know when I'm underwater that what I do is breathe air, not water. That is not where I'm supposed to be at all whatsoever. So just wanted to break that down real quick. Sorry, babe. I love you. But be among the doers and not the hearers. That was real big in these 5 chapters for me. Honestly, it was huge because the end of yearning is to be. while Imani was talking, I put a note in there and I said, there's a difference between yearning for the presence of God and walking with Him. And the only difference is your perception, because God's omnipresent. It's not that you got to pray for His presence. He's already here, yo. You just got to see Him. So if you ain't looking, you got to change the way you're looking. Period. You change your mind, you change your life. Power perception. And truly, as I've literally iterated every single book that we've read on this book club, that's the power of awareness. And that's what this book is literally talking about all throughout. And I had never read this book before. It's super lit. I ain't gonna lie to you. Marcus and I were in the chat. Like, it's crazy. We've been able to learn a lot of these things through our mentors as well, that we've been able to just really do, like, almost subconsciously in our life in other areas, and be really like consciously like aware when we're not doing it, to like check ourselves. We do it to each other. We'd be like, hey, bro, we've had little frictional conversations where we've had to tell each other, both of us, like, yo, check your heart posture, my guy. Check where you're coming from. Check if you're living in righteousness or not right now. Check if you're missing the mark. You know what I'm saying? Because you remember where we set the mark. You remember what the word said. You remember what we said. You remember what we wrote down. Let's hit the mark. So I'm really appreciative of our relationship and just relationships here, the group that we have, because we're cultivating this mindset of being and doing instead of just hearing. And so it's dope, because at the end of the day, like, you prevail. The active prevails over the passive. One who is a doer is magnetic. Therefore, it says he's infinitely more creative than one who merely hears. Baby, I love you. And if you're listening, that was a shot. Okay? Just saying. That was a shot. And I didn't send it. The book sent it and God sent it. I didn't read it like that on purpose to you. But as I'm thinking about our conversation in our group chat, come on, baby. But with that being said, be among the doers. It said the dynamic prevails over the static, the active over the passive. Long story short, one who is a doer is magnetic and therefore infinitely more creative than anyone who merely hears. All in all, what does it take to be successful? Intention, as he talks about assumption, as he talks about imagination. That third one, that's pivotal. It comes from creativity. So you become more creative when you do more than you hear. Just saying. Look, one who is a doer because he allows his wife to do. So I'm going to switch with Tia after this, and she's going to come down and she's going to chop it up about her view of the call because she's been listening the whole time. Sorry, y'all. We're having a conversation via text and I'm speaking in the call right now. You know what I'm saying? But with that, yes, you are. We're going to do it today. So be among the doers, it says. Now, with that, when it talked about the secret of thinking from the end is to enjoy being it, that hit me. And I had to screenshot that and literally favorited it and cropped it so I could put it as a background on my phone. The secret of thinking from the end is to enjoy being it. The minute you make it pleasurable and imagine that you are it, you start actually thinking from the end. Like, if you are just a seer and an observer, you're not going to get the full experience. If you are a participator and you think in past tense emotions and you understand the fulfillment that you're feeling in that moment, you can start to work backwards, as Joey was talking about yesterday. The first thing that Joey ever taught me in my life, when I met that man a decade ago, he said, action cures all ills. And it hit me again yesterday, and it hit me again while we were reading today as well, and while we're going through this, because truthfully, it does, period. No matter what, because you'll start to act in your righteous self, jumping into chapter 20. You'll start to act in your righteous self. Therefore, you won't act in that sinful nature. Period. It's either this or that. There is no gray area when it comes to life. Either you're doing or you're not doing. Period. Either you're missing the mark or you're hitting it. So, as Kelsey said, sometimes you got to check yourself and have self-accountability. Like, what am I actually doing? And what's dope is we've been able to cultivate a space where in our mental health Monday calls, calls, in the empowerment calls with the men and the women, with all of the different things that we do with this book club. Even we've cultivated a space where we can just be open about these things in our life with each other in a safe space. And that's not a space that majority of us have anywhere else in our lives. So with that, it's dope that we've been able to cultivate that together. And then we can take those moments where it's just us and God, and we can actually go and visualize and leave the distractions, because we were able to lay those out on calls with each other and grow through them. So I'm just grateful for what we've created here, because it's a environment that's conducive to the path that we're creating and that has been laid out in these books that we're reading. It's amazing. So shout out the Bible, because it says to break off thy sins by righteousness. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out the Bible. In this book, Power of Awareness, righteousness was defined by the consciousness of already being what you want to be. Period. So you'll break off your sins by being who you want to be. By being who you want to be, you'll hold fast and you will not let go. Your heart will not reproach as long as you live. By being who you want to be, that will answer for me in my time to come. Ooh, that's cold. That's cold. It says, very often the words of sin and righteousness are used in the same quotation, and this is a logical contrast of opposites and becomes enormously insignificant in the light of psychological meaning of righteousness and the psychological meaning of sin, because ultimately you are what you do. And if you assume who you want to be, you'll do as that person would. Then you become. So grateful for this. This book is fire. Marcus, I'm gonna pass it to you. I'm gonna go help my wife upstairs. Shout out the Bible. Shout out the Power of Awareness.
The Bible, for real. I appreciate you, bro.
First, I haven't gone yet, so I want to go. I'm gonna.
Josh, my guy, go
First
ahead.
off-
Real quick.
First off, I want to apologize. I know I've been absent. I know I haven't been in calls as I should have been. That's the power of awareness. I've been aware of that, and I noticed that I've been straying away from the vision that God has given me, and I have no clue why. I've been in a slump, but I've also been working on, mainly just my content and stuff like that, because that's what keeps my mind off of things that I'm not sure of, or I'm not really, I guess you could say, confident in making it in this industry. But I know that God gave me a vision, and I've already assumed that I'm going to be on stage one day. I've already assumed that I'm going to have my own team in Dallas. I've assumed all those things. And in the book, it says, if you've assumed something already, that feeling's not going to go away. Just like eating, drinking, breathing, just like Mikkel said, that feeling's not going to go away. So I know that that feeling's not going to go away, because it's been in the back of my head for the past week that I've been aware of missing out on the calls and stuff like that. And I wouldn't have joined the team if this wasn't my vision and the vision that God has given me. So I just want to start off by saying that. Also, this book and these chapters were really quick. I listened to it about 10 times. That's why my audio was off, I'm not going to lie. Just so I can really get it down and really understand what he was saying. And one of the other things that really stuck with me was saying that if you're not going to hit the target, you're sinning. So there's no reason of God giving you that vision if he knows that you can hit the target, but if you're not going to hit the target and reach those goals and the ambitions and the vision and the dream, then you're basically just sinning. So why are you doing it? So just sticking to, assuming that I'm already going to be there, assuming that I've already made it, assuming that I'm already going to be living the life that I'm living, and just sticking to what I said, because I'm a doer. I've always been a doer in my life. My first job was 15 years old. I started working when I was 15. I just wanted to do, so I could do things on my own. I grew up fast with the things I went through. So I've always been a doer, and I know that I can do things. I just have to put my mind to it and put my foot down and actually just move forward with what I've actually talked about to Marcus and Mikkel and to the team, to show that I'm not just all talk. I can walk the walk as well. So I'm working my ass off sorry for my language, to get my ticket to Arizona, because I've already said I'm going to be there. And I already assumed that I'm going to meet everybody out there and be on the next video of what our team has and to show them that I'm here to stay. So just wanted to say that. Hope everybody has a blessed rest of y'all Saturday and a weekend. I will see y'all in AZ. Guys are going to do it.
Amen, bro. Super proud of you, bro. Honestly, don't beat yourself up too much. I threw it in the chat, and I don't know if you remember on the 90-day, because I know you're a finisher of the 90-day program. But day 2, bro, force the average. It's a real thing, especially when you start assuming a new state of being. The old is hard to let go of because you've literally accustomed to it for so long. I know Alyssa was talking about it too, like healing's so difficult and taking a new perspective is so difficult because you really have to let go of who you once were. And as Imani talked about, honestly, have a rebirth of where it is you're trying to go. And it takes time. It really does. But it's understanding that literally you are the master of your own fate and the captain of your own soul. God gives you the free will. And I'm super excited because chapter 17 is free will. But God gives you the free will to actually do that. But it's not until you recognize that life comes from you, not at you, that it actually allows you to fully embody that change. And in doing so, y'all, these chapters were super powerful because I've high-key been having a lot of one-on-one conversations with squad, especially with those that are actually wanting to be on this run with me and go and build what we said we were going to build on the back end in terms of IM Academy and extending a global organization, utilizing the platform that we're leveraging in digital education. And in doing so, I've spent each call is about an hour and a half, 2 hours, not going to lie to you. And we were just having some conversations back and forth and realigning how everything really works together. It's not the bits and pieces of the puzzle. It's how it fits that actually matters. It's literally erasing the lines and harmoniously connecting it all that makes you assume what it is he's talking about in the book. So as I was having these conversations and then I read these chapters this morning, I was like, bro, quit playing with me. One, shout out God and shout out all the people he's got me around over the course of my career and my experiences, because as Mikhail was talking about, I was able to learn a lot of this stuff through experience. Now imagine if I read the book. What? I'm just saying, it'd be a lot different. Point is like, even if you're in your first year, your first 2 years, and you're getting exposed to this type of information, what I want to like reassure you guys is it's absolutely real. It's not only proven with multiple examples on the planet, but it's proven biblically as well. And if you just believe and seek the truth, you will find what the truth is and you will embody it. And if you don't, your soul will not sit well. It's kind of like when I honestly would go into the force of average, and I, as a human, find myself doing it from time to time as well. It's like you never actually get rid of that part of your being. You just shorten the time frame of your awareness of clicking back into reality of like, all right, nah, I'm ready to go back into that type of state of being, that mindset. So with that being said, from chapter 16, in terms of personal impotence, the inability to take effective action, I love what Amber had touched on at the beginning of the call, and it's essentially that you can neither create nor change the law of assumption. You can only yield or conform, meaning you're either submitting to it or you're being forced into it. And that's super powerful. What I got from it is that it happens subconsciously. And this is something I've been able to put together. Those who are at Unlimited, I talked about it a little bit as well. But you can consciously input and plant the person you want to become by consciously thinking about the activity that you need to do in order to assume the role, assume you being, right? And you do that enough consciously, it starts to seep into your subconscious mind, where eventually you're 4, 5, 10 years down the line and you no longer have to think about it. You just do, because you consciously influence your subconscious mind, and then you're able to tap into it because you've assumed the role. And it really starts with that level of awareness of like, okay, if I am as I am, and I have the ability to become exactly what it is I want to do in my life, then I just need to absolutely put my forefront on it and align my thoughts, align my feelings, align my emotions with the things that are conducive to actually get there. In other words, you will not be exempt from the other feelings, from the other aspects of where it is you want to go. You just have to focus your attention. You have to focus on the things that yield the things that you want most. And when you do that, you'll assume what it is you want. And that part's difficult because sometimes we're not even aware that we're focusing on the wrong things. And I love how he really touched on in 17 and 18, that if you understand and believe that all things are really possible, I always reference back to the Bible in Mark 9:23, where he essentially says, if it is possible, anything is possible for the man who believes it. So if you believe it to be true, then it's absolutely possible. You, by your conscious assumptions, determine the nature of the world in which you live. You can ignore the present state and assume the wish fulfilled, and you can claim it and it will respond. It's a law, you know what I'm saying? So understanding that all things are possible and will allow you to control your assumption. I think what stood out to me the most, besides chapter 20, like Imani, was definitely 18. And it's essentially that you need to actually do. And I think it ties in with the fact that I didn't hear you guys talk about it, but one, he talked about how he wanted to make it clear, so he was repetitive throughout this chapter all the time. He's been repetitive throughout the entirety of the book. The biggest law that he's been talking about for the past 16 chapters, or excuse me, yeah, 16 chapters going into chapter 20, has been the law of assumption. The truth seekers, he says, will welcome this aid in concentrating your attention upon the law, which will set you free. He then further talked about how he's proven these ideologies and these principles throughout his life. And it's been proven throughout multiple different books as well, meaning multiple other people who have had experiences with maintaining the law. Alex Morton talks about it becoming, doing, and then having. Bob Proctor taught him the concept. Earl Nightingale spoke upon it. The books by Napoleon Hill spoke about it. Jesus himself taught it. Like, if you have any ounce of belief in Jesus Christ and who God is, like, you can assume that what you're reading is true because it's biblically proven too. And it's not just recited by a documented occurrence in the Bible, is actually written as the words that he said. It came out of his mouth. So what's powerful about that is that he says that the talent entrusted to you is the power to consciously determine your assumption. And he said the talent not used, like the limb not exercised, withers and finally atrophies. If you don't know the word trophies, it means it's like completely gone. It's like there's no use at all. So with that means essentially is, it was taught to me through my mentor, Jim Rohn. He talks about the law of use. If you do not use it, you lose it. Meaning if you hear something and you have value and you know how to do it, but you don't do it, you'll lose the ability to do it. You'll lose the ability to understand it. You'll lose the ability to live in it, truly. And what he ended the chapter on is be among the doers, right? It's easier said than done because you have to be aware enough to understand that everybody essentially is a doer. It's what are they doing? I always reference to what I learned through Jesus, and that was that by his fruits, he warned me, by his fruits, you'll know him. You'll know the person. So everybody's going to have either good or bad fruits. It's pretty evident based on how you treat other people, what type of results you get out of the life that you're living. And it just reminded me that, okay, like, yes, I need to do. And as I'm doing, I will attract others who also do. But what are the results that they're yielding? And what is it that they're doing? Because by their fruits, you shall know them. So if I want to be mindful of being around people who are moving towards the assumption of the fulfilled state, or excuse me, the desired state being fulfilled, then I got to be mindful of like who's actually doing towards those principles versus who's just doing and simply existing. There's a lot of people that be doing a whole lot and at the same time be doing nothing at all. I think one of the biggest things is like if you're not mindful of you assuming and knowing your focus, you can high key be running really fast, but you'll be running in circles and you'll be in the same spot that you were. You got to understand that like those that are moving and feel that they're stuck, like if you feel like you are stuck currently, you've got to accept the fact that you're not stuck at all. You're just recycling the same thoughts. If you change your perspective, you change your thoughts, you'll change your actions, you'll change your destination, your overall journey. But most people recycle the same thoughts. They recycle then the same emotions, and then they recycle the same actions, and they're in the same place that they were 5 years ago. And if nothing changes, they'll be in the same exact spot 5 years later. And I just really loved how he really talked about, like, in order to actually do, you've got to fully believe what it is you're assuming. In the conversation I've had with Whole Squad, who's been actually about serving other people, was really touched on in chapter 19. It's towards the end of the paragraph. I'm not going to cover everything because y'all did a great job talking about it. Obviously, the burning desire being the starting of all achievement. The power of immobility or stillness. Biblically, God says, be still and you will know me. So in order to actually understand exactly his presence and where you need to go, you just need to willfully be in the state. He says, surrender yourself completely to the feeling until your whole being is possessed by it. You can do this by learning to induce the state of stillness at will. I think it's super powerful, bro, because imagination, everybody who has gone through a goal setting call with me on a one-on-one, I literally hit on this fact because it's scientifically proven. And I learned about it in college at shout out Hook 'em Horns, you know what I'm saying? But it's essentially yes, ma'am, mother alum on the call. We run through, you know what I'm saying, girl? All right, but in terms of imagination, your brain has no difference between the imagination and reality. There's been studies where it shows that the same area of your brain that lights up when you imagine doing something lights up as well when you're actually doing the activity you imagine. Therefore, the feelings that you experience while you're thinking about in stillness where it is you're going and where you want to be, because you've assumed you being in the mansion, you've assumed you speaking to crowds of thousands, you assumed the leadership of serving millions of people across the planet. Your body, your brain has no idea that it's an imagination. And then everything around you will work in your favor because you are utilizing the magnetism and not creating new, but attracting through the law of assumption that which you desire. It's honestly wild, but biblically it's proven as well. And that's why I trust it. Otherwise, I think it's all shenanigans or foolery, tomfoolery. But honestly, every action, yeah, tomfoolery, you know the vibes. Amani, I freaking love you, girl. I appreciate the energy you always bring, truly. But it's like literally wild to know that last part, it's the come from. What's your heart posture? Because you can do and you can assume the role. But if you don't understand what's beneath the obvious, then what you're doing can be used for the wrong reasons. And it's a fine line between manipulation and leading people in the right way. What he writes, and I love the way he said it, is utilizing these three things. It can be used for greedy, selfish purposes as well as noble ones. But it should always be borne in mind that ignoble thoughts and actions inevitably result in unhappy consequences. Meaning if you do things out of the expense of others or in a selfish desire, you may actually assume and get it. In fact, you're practicing the laws. But if you are not aware of the intention and the come from, what you got to answer to come judgment day is not going to be pretty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how else to say it. because I care about more of y'all's like eternal soul than I care about like what we all accomplish here on the planet. I know we're gonna accomplish great things. I really do. I know we're gonna go help a lot of people, but I also know we're gonna die. And when we do, we're gonna leave behind something that is no longer here, which is our body, and we're gonna go spiritually either one of two things. Everything we've been learning about and believing in it as a faith-based organization, that's heaven or hell, or none of that things existed and it's blank nothingness, right? I always prefer to trust that God is here, and I've seen him to be true, and I know his voice. And in doing that, what I also recognize is that you got to be mindful that it's not just the doing to assume that which you desire. It's the doing to serve and actually help other people accomplish what it is they want. And eventually you'll get what you want. Most people unwilling. And a lot of people will understand the laws, and then they will truly, bro, utilize it to their advantage and take advantage of others. And as we step into this next season, because a lot of you guys are making the decision, a lot of you guys are embodying what it takes to actually live the life of your dreams, just be mindful of the come from. I think that's why he ended that chapter like he did, so that you guys can actually remind yourselves that it works just as electricity works. You will attract that same type of energy. So if you want more and better, make sure you're treating more people better while you're actually obtaining what it is you want, and watch the circumstances, the people, the resources come into your fruition because you've actually put others before yourself. Most people are unwilling, and it's okay. But that's been like a big astounding message that I've been chopping up with a lot of squad about, is that like, yeah, bro, if I was really just about obtaining the life I desired on my own selfish desires, I wouldn't be doing none of the things that I'm doing currently. I'd be a PA right now, white coated up, taking care of me, probably a wifey and a couple kids. But it's not about me. It's really about the commitment I made and the life I fully want to live, and knowing that I'll get what I want. I just got to make sure that it's in alignment with the righteousness that we got to actually uphold. So just to end it on what he talked about is in the book of Matthew: seek ye the first kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. The feeling of already being the person you want to be, of already having the thing you desire, and embodying that righteousness will allow you to actually feel as if you are who you say you are, that you're living in truth. Biblically, God is nothing but truth. Anything of darkness, of deception, is not God. So if you are operating in truth of who you're called to be and who you are assuming in your current state, and you're doing the things and you're not missing the mark because you're actually already the person that you desire to become, then you will essentially get everything given to you. And it's not just by a law of magnetism for those that believe in a higher power. It's also God paving the way and putting people in your path for a purpose. Like the fact that Amani came up to me, I'm just, because I see you, girl, and I appreciate your energy. Amani came up to me after Unlimited, and it was no question. It was no suggestion. She said with the utmost confidence, I'm so excited for next year's Unlimited to be happening at my resort. I was like, girl, I'm excited for that too. You know what I'm saying? And I realized that 2 years ago, when I was not embodying that same desire of level of certainty, I would have never met a woman like Imani, who came up, and one of the first things that she spoke of after Unlimited was of absolute certainty and belief in what it is that she saw in her brain. Most people don't operate like that. So for us to be on the specific path that we're on, doing the things that we are doing, we can help each other exceed past a life that is simply of limitation, of failure to attain your desires, of missing the mark, of sin, doing things that are not conducive to where you want to go. Because we're around people, we're around doers who not only do the things, but yield good fruit. that actually give a, excuse my language, lack of better words, but actually give a shit about other people, that actually want to see everybody win, that actually want to improve themselves, that actually are willing to receive accountability in a healthy manner and not view it as a nuisance. High key, that's gaslighting if you do. And if you said you wanted the accountability. So, and then being willing to give the accountability and hold people to the standard in which you guys agreed upon. And I just appreciate the type of community we're developing together. I appreciate the love and the guidance you guys have been seeking after and showing and giving to others. And in the process, like, I'm excited for the rest of the book as we move forward. We got about 7 more chapters. So the next, I think the next 4, hold on, let me pull it up just so that we got this in tune. But anyways, I felt like I was a little all over the place. Hopefully it made sense what I was talking about. Next week though, just to wrap things up, boop, 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 ba-doop, ba-doop. Unless Tia, you're gonna actually come downstairs, girl, and share what insight you had today. Or you can just unmute yourself, just a little boop, boop. Y'all should be tired of me.
Yo, I have 0 input for today. My AirPod wasn't even in until just now for the last 20 minutes. I have been having a debate with Marcus and Mikhail because they're like, put your input. And I can barely even comprehend half the things that are being said because I'm not fully listening because I'm also doing things at the same time. So it's my bad. And I need to find better time during the week where I can actually sit quietly and like I work better when I write things down so I can understand them versus just like trying to go off what y'all said because I feel like it was all over the place and when people like you know what I mean, like there's a lot of different conversations going on and by the time I'm dealing with Brooklyn's tapping me on the shoulder right now. Yes. Thank you, baby. But I love y'all and I really do want to participate and it's not that I don't want to, it's just I feel like like it's not my season because I literally can barely focus. But I promise you, it's not going to be forever. I'm going to try to be better.
Hey,
and I appreciate you for trying to put me on the spot, but like, it's hard. You know what I mean?
No, I feel you. Just one thing that you can take away from today is that if you want to succeed as much as you want to breathe, then you will be successful.
Huh?
If you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you will be successful. We got you, girl. I love you.
I know. I know that already. Thank you, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Love y'all.
Alrighty, but so next week, y'all, it's chapters 21, 22, and 23. Please do not try to like wait last minute on these chapters because chapter 23 is a little thick with multiple C's. I take the K off. But the I think it's about, let's see. It's almost like 20 pages, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. Hold on. Nope, it starts on 81 and goes to 100. So it's about 19 pages, like I said. So chapter 23 honestly is fire because it actually gives some concrete evidence as to everything that we've been talking about. And I'm really excited to see what stories stand out to you guys as we move forward. And then the week after that, we're going to be finishing up the book with the last 3 chapters with a nice little bang. Next week, come the book club, I will make sure that the next book is uploaded and that the chapters are updated in the events. If you are not on the app, you can always access the events on the TGF website. And I believe Amber does a good job at like moving over the information onto her platform so that all the powerful creators got their info too. But y'all, I love y'all so much. Remember to maintain your burning desire and actually assume the role by doing. Take time to operate in stillness and let your actual assumption of the wish you really want to be fulfilled have a chance by coming from the right place and loving yourself through the process because it is not done overnight. As my guy Connor Price says, they think it's done overnight. It didn't. We got to actually work it over a long period of time. It didn't happen overnight. And eventually somebody will be like, damn, that was an overnight success. And you'd be like, nah, bro, I put sweat equity into this into this structure that you're viewing right now. And I'm excited to see exactly who you continue to become. I love you guys. And as always, have a good rest of y'all Saturday. See you at the top.
Bye, guys. Thanks for all the insight and the love. Woo.
Bye, guys. Love y'all.
Adios.
Love y'all. Love y'all. Bye.